Hello, my name is Sarah Balfour. I'm a beef consultant with SEC Consulting, and today in this short video we'll discuss some top tips for preparing stock for sale. Selling livestock is an important part of any farming or crofting business, but there are a few things to think about before you get your animals to market. First of all, a good thing to do is always to pick up the phone and speak to the local auctioneer or mart staff to get your animals booked and catalogued at the right sale, to make sure you get the right stock at the right sale. Because store lambs will be sold on a different day to finished lambs, to fat lambs, and store cattle may be sold on a different day to weaned calves. So it's important to make sure that you know exactly what day the sale is taking place for the correct class of stock that you're selling. Another thing to think about is once you've decided you're going to sell animals, is then to pick and decide which animals are ready for sale or which ones you want to sell. Before going to the shed and making your selection, it's a good idea to check that the paperwork is all in order first, as you won't be able to sell your stock at market if they don't have the correct paperwork. So that's passports for cattle and ear tags and movement documents for sheep. So it's a good idea to check that cattle have two ear tags, two matching corresponding ear tags, one in each ear, and that sheep are also correctly tagged with the appropriate tags. But make sure that the sex on the passport also matches the sex of the animal that you want to sell, because mistakes can happen. So once you've selected your cattle and your paperwork is all in order, you might then want to think about how you're going to present your stock for sale. Many farmers and crofters take a lot of pride in selling their cattle or their sheep at sale, and they want to present them to the best of their ability. So that might mean that the cattle are clipped so that their heads and their tails, their back ends, their top of their backs, their bellies are clipped, which also helps remove any excess dirt, but it also helps present the animal to the best of your ability and shows off the animal's conformation. It also helps make them more attractive to buyers. Avoid selling dirty livestock and dirty animals. While you're clipping the heads of cattle, it's also a good idea to clip around the ears to make sure that the ear tag number is clearly visible for the mart staff to be able to read this on the sale day. Another thing to think about is batching, how you want to sell your stock. Batching is what we refer to as how animals are sold in the ring. So a batch of weaned calves, a batch of store cattle, a batch of ewe lambs. And when you think about batching, you want to think about the size of the animal, the weight of the animal, the sex, the colour, the breed. If it's store cattle that you're selling, you want to think about selling stores of a similar age and weight together, but also think about your top draws, your second draws. So your top draw is what you think are your best cattle or your best sheep. Those are the ones that you want to put into the ring first. So they will be batched as your top draw. Your second draw will be ones which you feel may not be quite as good as the first, but they're what you would call your second draw. And you may have a third or a fourth draw thereafter. So when it comes to batching, if you're unsure of how to batch your cattle or your sheep, speak to your local auctioneer, get some advice. They'll be able to help you batch your stock accordingly to make sure that you get the best price for your animals on the sale day. Depending on the type of sale, if, for example, it's a sale of fat lambs, of finished lambs, these lambs may also require to be clipped prior to being sold. So at the market, the lamb's bellies and their back ends will be clipped of any excess dirt. There'll be a small fee usually incurred for doing so, but it ensures that the animals arrive clean to the slaughterhouse for then going through the processing lines. When it comes to marketing and selecting lambs, you may want to use spray marker to pick out what's known as your top draw lambs, so what you think are your best lambs. They'll go into the sale ring first because they're what you think are your best ones. You then have your second draw, which you might want to identify with a different mark, for example a blue mark on the back of the head or an orange mark on the top of their tail. Don't go too excessive with the spray marker, less is always more. So for more information on selling stock at market and preparing stock and how to get the best for your animals at market, please refer to the FAS website, where you will find numerous fact sheets, videos podcasts and webinars on the topic. Thank you.